you know what? I think it's already
Oh,
going. All right. Okay, now we just need somebody to share screen and we'll be ready to go in about a minute.
everybody has the right to share the screen.
Okay. Well, for our presentation.
Yes, but it's an all or none deal for me. I don't
Okay.
know how to pick and choose who gets to share.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Crazy morning today.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, I was gonna say, give me 1 second. I've got too many tabs open. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Erin.
Let's
Got it.
see.
And it's 9 o'clock straight up, you guys.
All right. Read AI meeting notes is requesting to record this meeting. Do we do that or no?
Should be already recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked for accessible notes.
Yes. And do we do that? Okay. All right, everybody, it's 9 o'clock. We'd like to be respectful of everybody's time and get going here. Let's see. Looks like we've got a pretty decent little crowd. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started then since it's 9:01. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Welcome into the Program Builder Grant Round 12 RFP tutorial. My name is Carrie Horning. I am one of the Career Connected Learning Specialists with the NCESD 171. I'm going to take just a few minutes here, a few seconds to introduce you to the group. And then we're going to go right into, we're going to talk to you a little bit today about Career Connected Learning. We're going to talk to you about Career Connect Washington. We're going to tell you some of the neat little tricks of the trade that you need, give you some links for deeper information about this Program Builder Grant. And then we want to make sure that you know that your regional network is providing this tutorial for you today. But of course, we can't guarantee that your attendance means you will be awarded. But for sure, you will have all the skills and tools in your pocket to make the best application possible. So if we can go on to the next slide, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, I'm sorry, let me do the introductions. First of all, make sure that you raise your hand when I introduce you so that maybe pop on and just say hi. But we've got Tammy McBride. She's also a Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD. Thanks, Tammy. Then we've got Linda DeZellum. She's also Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD 171 with a specialty, I believe, in CTE. And then Mr. Aaron Perot from SkillSource is also on with us today. So thanks everybody for joining us. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. And the next slide, basically, if I remember correctly, is going to be the important dates. The RFP actually opened on Monday, the 16th. So we're just already about 1 week into it. The bidders conference was yesterday at noon. Hopefully you were able to join us and get some more details there. But if not, you're here today, so don't stress too much. Notice of intent to bid, that is November 1st by 5 p.m. And the proposals are due December 1st at 5 p.m. And I'm just going to reiterate, somebody very wise said to me that when things are mentioned more than once, it usually means it's time to listen. So do not miss those deadlines. Do not miss the notice to intent by 5 p.m. and do not miss the proposal on December 1st at 5 p.m. So next slide, please. And the next slide is actually, some of our bidder resources. So we'll make sure that you have access to this, the slide deck, but all of these are hyperlinked, and all of these resources are ones that you are going to want to check out. There's a little bit of a gap in between the top 4 and the bottom 1, calling out the webs. We want to make sure that you all know that you do need to register. So please, get on that website and register for that as well. Okay. All right. We're ready to go on to the next one. About a little bit about Career Connect Washington. So Career Connect Washington is a coalition of industry, labor, education, government, and community leaders who really create and expand access to work-based education programs for young people to earn money and academic credit while they're exploring, preparing for, and launching into careers. And we've got those highlighted because really that's a key piece of career connected learning, that career explorer, career prep, and career launch. And again, to be repetitive, you're going to hear a lot about career launch today. That's going to be the focus of this RFP. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about it. But in terms of Career Connect Washington, we build these opportunities to launch all of our students. We want to be equitable, and we really want the students to have these real world experiences. And right now, huge focus on every student getting a chance to have a paid work experience so that they can learn, work, and thrive. So that gives you a little bit of detail about Career Connect Washington. We can move on to the next slide, please. And just to go a little bit deeper, I'm not going to read this slide word for word, but obviously Career Connect Washington believes that there are many pathways to economic success for our students. There are 70 program builders out there. Nearly $17 million in funding has been distributed since 2019, and there's over $40 million in federal and state funding available over the next 3 years. So again, this RFP is really focused on career launch. But if you go through this process and it doesn't happen for you next year and in the coming 3 years, there's going to be plenty of funding out there. So stick with it. These are great programs. Okay, so what is career connected learning? I'm hoping you have a little bit of an idea about career connected learning since you're on the call with all of us for the NCESD 171 today. But really just to kind of give you a quick overview, career connected learning programs give students the chance to meet and work with people in our local jobs and in our local communities. It's this continuum, and I've already mentioned this once, we're going to mention it again, of career exploration, career preparation, and then work-based experiences. We can move on to the next slide because it's a little bit of a duplication, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. So that career explorer, career prep, and career launch, keep focused on that. We'll make sure that you have all the details. But when we talk about career exploration, that's kind of a little bit more of a light lift. Maybe you're going to host a student for a job shadow, or maybe you're going to actually even host a teacher for an externship. And what that means is the teacher can come into the industry, learn all about that industry. Maybe they're doing a tour, but then they can take that information back to their classrooms and teach their students with it. So that gives you a little bit of an explanation of career explorer. Career prep is going to be a little bit more of a heavier lift. Career preparation could be maybe an intern. Maybe you've got a student intern in at your business, or maybe you're helping one of your students get an internship with a local business. And then also mentoring. Maybe you decide that as a business partner, community partner, you want to bring a student in and you let them job shadow and really mentor them and spend some time with them. So that's a heavier lift. Career launch, which is going to be the highlight. Please focus in and listen to career launch on this tutorial today. But career launch is definitely a higher, heavier lift time-wise. And this is what everybody is focused on right now: on-the-job training, paid work experience, and apprenticeship. So those are really going to be the key aspects of this tutorial and of this Program Builder Grant. In terms of our students working with this, the youth internship, that's where we're all at right now. That's where we want to get. We've got a deliverable by 2030 for 60% of our students to have a paid career pathway work experience. And hopefully this career launch, this RFP tutorial will help you, get the funds necessary to help do that. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of Career Connect Washington, Career Connected Learning, and the team that's presenting today. Before I pass off to Linda for the following slides, are there any questions from anybody? Does anybody have anything that we can answer for the basic introduction? No worries. If something comes up, pop it into chat, and I'm going to pass this over to Linda DeZone right now.
And actually, I think Tammy's going to take it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I'm gonna take care of just a few slides for you guys today. So what is a program builder? So program builders expand, enhance career connected learning programs statewide, from job shadowing experiences to internships and apprenticeships. They really are to create and scale career connected learning programs, kind of like what Carrie had said, in both academic or work-based settings for young people ages 5 through 30. So program builders create meaningful experiences to the career connected learning continuum, exactly what Carrie was saying. So it's for career launch, career explore, or career prep to help young people. So who is eligible for Career Connect Washington funding? Any Washington state-based business or organization looking to build or expand or enhance programs. So program builders can be employers, they can be educators, nonprofits, job training, skill centers, community-based organizations, and so much more. It really is anybody. What they have in common is that, you know, the work is to bridge and build connections between industry and the education system. So I think this is going to pass it to Linda.
Yeah, and so the question comes up a lot, all the time, actually, not even just a lot. What can the funding be used for? And this is where it was explained over and over to me. And if you think about it, it can be used for everything that it takes to build your idea, because this is the emphasis, the builders, up to the point where the students walk through the door for the service. And so the complete list is right there. I will highlight the note on there about the website, the careerconnectlaw.org /apply for funding. As it was reminded yesterday, go to that for your sources. That has the most up-to-date, all the information that you're going to find. And even in the round 11, I was asked several times, could you forward me the application? And I'm going to defer everyone to go back to these sources. And I think Erin will touch on it a little bit later again. If there's any updates to the process, it'll be on that site. And so, again, funding is for everything to develop, to build that program opportunity for the student, whether it's community outreach, employer outreach, staff salaries and benefits to build this, the time and effort, travel to meet with these business partners and things like that. That's what it's for. It can never be used to fund students. I'm sorry, I'm not in a very good location, but that I don't know how to fix my hearing or my volume, but if we could go to the next slide. Is it any better? So Career Connect Washington has several different entities that combine together. We have the CCW regional networks, North Central Washington, the network that we're in right now and that we've invited people to listen with is our regional network that flows into our program builders. These are our K-12 or K-20 partners that will be doing the work. And then our educational service district, the ESD, we have support for CTE, support for frameworks, all working together with this Career Connect Washington, providing opportunities for students. And again, if you have questions, some of our local, and I'll just bring your eyes to that middle column, our program builder. It's these are our most recently selected and entities that are currently program builders for this year. Wenatchee School District is a new awardee. Colville Confederated Tribes is also a new awardee. And so if you have questions, we can reach out or help assist the facilitation for getting information from them. Apple STEM Network and Skill Source are both great parts of our network. And then again, your Career Connected Learning team, Tammy, myself, and Carrie are here as well as Aaron Crow, who's on the call today too. I think we can move to the next slide. All right, and I think this is where Aaron is. I'd like to introduce him to take these next slides.
Thanks, Linda. I'm going to be covering a lot of the Program Builder application and some of the stuff surrounding it. It's going to be a combination of running through the application and talking about best practices for preparing your proposal. If you have questions at any time, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll go back to the chat every now and again and check and see how everybody's doing. Program Builder grants are for development of a career-connected learning program at your organization in partnership with industry, education, and community-based organizations. Therefore, strong partnerships that exist prior to your program even being proposed will be a great help for success. You want to maybe build your program around something you've already been doing with a proof of concept. A lot of us are doing stuff that could easily be in the Career Connected Learning network and framework if it were just formalized, proposed, and accepted. And so how do we get that successfully onto paper and prove that we deserve to be in the network? Shared commitment from your partners. It's one thing for your partners to say, yeah, we think this is a good idea. Please go ahead and put in your proposal. But your key partners are going to step forward and offer key supports that will make the development of your program and the implementation of your program successful. And they should share your focus on an equity-centered career pathways. If you're working on actually any program in the continuum, an explore, a prep, or a launch, it should be part of a through line that ends in a career launch program with a formal endorsement or a credential earning career pathway. We also think that the best program builders are ones who have close involvement and collaboration with us, the CCW team, the statewide, as well as the regional network, the workforce board represented by me, which is SkillSource, and the sector leads, which are kind of like super program builders with a statewide mandate in their local area, in their industry of focus. So when we talk about the phases of program development, concept planning and partnership development is ideally already underway or been done on your part in order to have a successful proposal. The program building, the actual grant period, is not when you go out and find those key partners. And when you do the program builder grant, you're expected to have those in place. You're expected to have fleshed out the concept, and the grant is simply to put your plan into action, your plan of development into action. It's the actual building, not the blueprint drawing. It is also not the time for implementation. In other words, this grant is not to pay wages or stipends to students or participants. It is simply to develop the program. Question, can we get this PowerPoint? Yes, after this, at any time during this presentation, actually, the team can go ahead and drop the link in chat because this is a Google presentation. It was mentioned earlier, round 12 will be focused on career launch programs. What this means is that career launches will be the primary focus, and they will have a set number of career launch proposals that they will review first. Once they have expended money on that set number of career launches, if there are funds remaining, they will consider career explore and career prep. This does not mean that you should not continue to develop and consider to send in your proposals for career explore and career prep. Quite the contrary. Since this is a career launch focus RFP, if you have an extremely strong Career Explorer career prep and you submit it, there's a good chance that there will be fewer of those proposals in this round. And if there is money left over, you might be at the head of the pack to receive it. However, realistically, the split of this money this time is $1,500,000. If we assume 150 to 200,000 per program builder, that's still a small number of program builder grants that may be authorized. So realistically, that's why we offered this service, to give you the best chance for success with your proposal. The period of performance, in other words, when you would have funding to work on your project, is forecasted to be February 24 to June 25. They are also not accepting bids for registered apprenticeships or pre-apprenticeships in this round. There is actually a separate round for apprenticeship called the Apprenticeship Building America Round 2, and that is a separate proposal available on the web system. The next Program Builder RFP that will be opened is approximately in June 24, and that funding will be available in the next fiscal year. The proposal asks for data in several key places. These are some of the most important data points that you will be asked to produce. Who the students are that your program is expected to serve, what the entry level and 5-year expected earnings in the career are, which counties do you plan to target and why. The Career Connect Regional Network team can assist you in obtaining this data if you do not have it already. There are also other data points, such as graduation rates, career progression rates, job openings, stuff like that, that again, the regional network can help you flesh out and or obtain. Using data is an excellent way to prove your point, especially when we are talking about the underserved populations for whom we are designing these programs. Okay, we do have a link to the actual document, which is a request for a proposal here. However, I am going to recommend that on this link, which is the web's portal, that you register on the web's portal and get all of your documentation directly from the web's portal. We have one copy. We're not going to keep updating our copies of the proposal and the associated work. Career Connect Washington is the reliable source for that through the web's portal. We can't be held responsible if you use another version of the proposal and webs is updated and there are new requirements. So please, I recommend going to webs and or the Career Connect Washington website to obtain all of your proposal materials. If you have any questions or have any difficulty in accessing webs, please contact the regional network, me, Tammy, Carrie, or Linda. Also, yes, Wendy.
I just wanted to ask, the bidders conference, I guess, was yesterday. Do you know, is that recorded or will you be sending a link out?
It is recorded. Once it is put on the Career Connect Washington website, it'll be available under their apply for funding or about us page, and we'll be sure to share that link out if we get word that it's received. You can also go to the Career Connect Washington website and sign up for email updates.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Aaron, if I may, we'll be sure as soon as that link is available, we'll put it in one of our newsletters. So it should be out in multiple locations for you just as soon as it's available.
All right, moving on to some nitty-gritty about your proposal. Please observe some naming conventions. Make sure you're using the correct terminology, and when in doubt, stay consistent with what's in the application. just use good organizational sense, header, footer, page numbers to help keep it organized for the people who will be reviewing your application. Full disclosure, I have both submitted and reviewed Program Builder applications several times over the last several years, so I'm coming from both sides of experience. Career Connect Washington has asked that you only use Microsoft Office type software such as Word or Excel or PDF formats for your submissions. Please do not zip your files. It is a best practice, speaking as a reviewer, to actually build your proposal off of the proposal application using the existing section numbers, question numbers, and actually allowing the questions to be restated. If you simply do a long paragraph of narrative, it can be very difficult to find answers to specific questions that we must score you on. Include narratives, charts, visuals in the proposal document. That is a best practice. Illustrate your point with a chart or with other visuals that clearly illustrate your point. Make sure that all of your questions are answered completely, correctly, but concisely. Try not to add irrelevant information, but make sure that you've answered the entire question. Your proposal, when it's submitted, must include all sections, and it must include the correct version of the proposal for the type of program you're proposing. I'm now going to go over the 6 appendices of the proposal in order, and just very briefly on appendixes A and B. Appendix A is the actual notice of intent to bid. This is emailed separately to this email address by November 1st, 5 p.m. And it's simply a statement that your organization intends to apply. Use the format that's in the proposal. It also must be included with the other 5 appendices in your complete proposal. It is not scored. Appendix B is your bidder profile. This is a mandatory form that collects required information about your organization for contracting and business identification purposes. It is not scored. This will include things such as your organizational tax identification numbers and other proprietary information. If you do not have access to this information, you may wish to contact your chief financial officer or other person who is authorized to transact business on behalf of your organization. Appendix C is the main meat of the proposal. The first step in this is in the actual document. There will be 3 embedded documents, type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 1 is career launch, which is the primary focus of this proposal. Type 2 is career prep, and type 3 is career explore. Choosing to correct one of these to fill out, although they are very similar proposals, is very important, because just the fact that I say I'm doing this kind of program, but it's actually I'm describing another kind, it does not present you in a great light to the Career Connect team and reviewers as understanding the Career Connect framework, and it will impact your score. So please, if you're not sure, if you would like a second opinion on what kind of program you are proposing, please contact the regional network. We're always here to assist and answer questions. Within that 75-point Appendix C, there are several sections. The first one is program design. It is not scored, and it is a short question and answer section that basically outlines some baseline data for your program, such as which it is a new program, an expanded program, or an enhanced program. New program is kind of obvious. It's a program that's never existed before in any form. Expanding an existing program could be that you have an existing program that you'd like to increase capacity. you would like to expand to new partners in your community, new locations, or perhaps add career pathways onto. An existing program is enhanced when, for example, a career launch is added onto a career prep, or new requirements are added on so that you can meet career launch or registered apprentice standards and or improve equity outcomes for your program. Again, if you're not sure which of these your program falls into, please contact us and we'll be happy to help you navigate. Ron asks, are there any way to see past proposals from other districts that were funded as examples to help me better understand how to connect to work? I would be happy to share a couple of our proposals from SkillSource that were funded. Keep in mind that it's the writing style that will be most helpful for you, Ron, and the data points we present, because our proposal was done under a previous format. You can also contact some of the other program builders that are currently funded and ask them for advice and or copies of their proposals if they are willing to share. If you would like that contact, please make sure to drop your email in chat so that the team can take it down and put you in contact with a program builder. So section 1 is very short answers. It is just talking about the what and the results. The how you are going to conduct the program will be in the next section. Section 2 is the big part of the big part with 40 points possible. This is a written narrative, hopefully going question by question, as I said before, that addresses all of this information. I'm not going to read all the way through it, but I am going to hit on some very important points that I look for when I am looking at these. The students' access to experience with and outcomes of the program. This who, what, when, where. This is what they're asking for is, what is a student's experience from enrollment to completion of your program? What happens with them? Who do they interact with? Where do they do that interaction? What activities do they encounter? Reasons for funding request. Just be honest up front. If it's an additional cost that really does not fall in your district or organization budget, that's certainly reasonable. A key one is sustainability of funding beyond the grant. Successful applicants say that they have some mechanism in place or planned to pick up funding for this program and its conduct once it's built. Organizations that say in their proposal, we will seek out other avenues of funding to carry on this program after it's designed. That's not really a plan. That's kind of a hope. Maybe this will happen. So we like to see a real sustainability plan and real resources identified. If you are applying for a career launch, you must detail an expected timeline for submitting a program endorsement to the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. Once again, we can assist or identify resources for that endorsement application. If you are applying for career launch, an endorsement pathway must be part of your plan. You must plan for that career launch endorsement prior to the completion of your grant. Talk about equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility throughout your narrative. This is an important part of Career Connect Washington, and it used to be in a separate appendix for equity plan. Now what they've done is they've sprinkled your equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility throughout the plan, and they want to see it reflected throughout your answers. Your program should address key industry shortages or challenges. It should portray the entry level and 5-year earnings for proposed careers. Typically, people ask me for those data points if they do not have them. I am the data analyst for the entire 5-county region of North Central Washington with SkillSource. So please feel free to contact me if you need those data points. Happy to help. You have to talk about how your program aligns with the Career Connect Continuum and implements universal design. Career Prep and Explore, you'll have to talk about also how it aligns with high school and beyond plans for students. And we also would like to see how target communities, you're kind of like who your audience is and how you will make sure they're able to equitably access your program. This is the really important part of the proposal. This is where you get to tell your story. And so they've even given you other critical components. This is where you can give a little historical background. You can talk about other really interesting or vital parts of your plan that you didn't really get a chance to address it above that. You can restate your equity goals. This is kind of your free text space to kind of like make your final pitch for why your program ought to be successful. A strong closing statement here often goes a long way with a reviewer. Are there any questions specific to the program design narrative before I move on? It's a lot of information here. Okay, if a question comes up to you later, you can email us or pop it in chat and we'll try and answer before we leave. Section 3, partnerships. Career Connect Washington is made possible through partnerships. And so you must include a written narrative that addresses clearly defined roles and responsibilities of key partners in education, K-12 or higher education, industry, which means local or regional businesses, and if applicable, tribal nations. You must talk about the clearly defined roles and responsibilities that make them a key partner. In other words, they provide something for the program, either its design or its execution, that the program cannot be successful without. For example, a K-12 or a higher education partner might be responsible in the plan for certain courses and or curriculum design, without which the program cannot be successful. Industry might provide a structured workplace setting for paid internships and wages for those internships, without which the program cannot be successful. Tribal nations might provide either of those services or other wraparound services with their ancillary funding. Again, that would not be possible for their tribal members to attend the program and be successful without those services. You may also include other partners who maybe are not key partners, but are community or framework partners who also play a role and or support your program, but maybe are not key partners. A great example of this would be somebody who, if you, for example, SkillSource, which is a service provider for out-of-school youth. If you have an eligible out-of-school youth associated with the program who needs wraparound services, you might refer them to SkillSource for enrollment and support services. However, if you have no out-of-school youth associated with your program, but just want to say, SkillSource, would you help if one shows up? We are not a key partner. Is that a clear example? The proposal also asks how partners will work together, who will provide the classroom instruction. It'll ask why these specific partners are selected and how their equity goals align with the project goals. Partnership section also asks how you have engaged with the CCW regional network, which you are doing right now by attending this call. So you've already completed part of your proposal. And also plans on how bidder will collaborate with the CCW regional network, the career connected learning specialists, and the local workforce board. Again, all of which you're doing on this call, and you can do again and again if you attend our quarterly meetings. We're trying to make this as easy as possible for you to write a successful application. Section 4 talks about your track record of success. You must include a written narrative that addresses how your organization has qualifications and experiences with developing and implementing career-connected learning experiences of any kind. They don't have to be Career Connect Washington affiliated. They can be something that you've been doing. I'm pretty sure that all of our school districts and all of our organizations that face youth are doing some sort of career-connected learning experience at some level. And that's the sort of thing we can put on this section. Talk about how the size, structure, and makeup of your entity provide advantages to develop and implement this work, and how you've learned from past work, the lessons learned or other best practices. They would also like information on your pro-equity, anti-racist efforts to enhance recruitment and retention and expand quality opportunities in your organization and community. This slide talks about how in the past, CCW has looked at these concepts and given them considerable weight in judging whether a program is accepted and as a successful bidder. Proof of concept, if a similar program, not necessarily in the same career field or industry, but with similar activities, or maybe different activities, but in the same career field. Is there something similar out there that's already been proven to work? Scalability. If your program could work in almost any school district or any region of the state, or you are working with a statewide employer, this is advantageous to your application. Sustainability. I am repeating this, so it must be important. Is there a funding source clearly defined once this grant ends? Career pipeline, career-connected learning and program builder projects must be linked to a legitimate career pathway for youth in your community, preferably in a high wage, high demand sector. And we should have data for that. And if you're a completer of this program, does it actually give you an advantage when you're applying to local jobs? And you can maybe make that happen through commitments from employers who become key partners. The through line, does a Career Explorer career prep program show evidence of aligning to another step in the continuum, hopefully eventually to career launch? Make sure your key partners are really key partners who are indispensable to the success of your program, and that they write a letter of support that acknowledges that role specifically. Strong educational partners in alignment, incorporating high school and beyond plan, UDL, and other components of good learning practices. And of course, equity-minded programming. Okay, I'd like to turn this over to Linda again to talk briefly about this.
Okay, first I'm going to do a mic check. Can you guys hear me better now? I am so sorry. I could spend a whole Zoom telling you about my troubles today. All right, so I'm going to jump into the youth priority populations, the underserved. And I would say this is probably one of the largest components that's been honed into my brain in the last year, is that these grant proposals with Career Connect Washington is geared towards serving the underserved. And thinking about graduation rates across the state of Washington have dramatically increased in the last 15 years. But at the same time, data has shown that we're graduating a lot of our students into poverty. And so Aaron hit earlier, our focus of our grants are presenting role models or proposals for students to see the high wage, high demand type careers that are out there. And providing experiences for these students that they would not normally get. The list that's on this slide is just some of the underserved populations that have been, brought to the surface of it. But, in each community, there are others that may be unique to your area. And so if you prepare a proposal that doesn't touch on your underserved populations, I have not evaluated a grant, but I could probably guarantee, just from writing grants through CTE, that they won't be as considered near the top at all. And again, this is giving kids experiences that goes with that, saying that right now that if they can see it, they can become it. And so, giving them hope is what these grants are to be providing for. And again, this is a program builder, so it's building your program with this population in mind. And then jump into the next slide. So Aaron talked earlier about the universal design for learning. And while this slide is hard to read, I believe that scan, or you can Google it to do some more research. But, and I think Tammy is putting some information back in the chat, but the universal design is an approach to the instruction. And when your grant proposal should identify this proposal, it is, the goal is to provide expert learners. And so, again, like I said, it's really hard to read, but we want them to be purposeful and motivated. The goal should be resourceful and knowledgeable. And there's the 3 columns as you go across: strategic and goal directed. This just means that this universal design is multiple ways to engage students, and that is one thing that I feel that these grants kind of fit right in perfect with our CTE instruction, in that that is what career and tech ed is all about, the different ways to engage students. And we know that some students find their home in our classes every day. And so, again, keeping this in mind in your grant proposal, it is what our goal for the program. I'm sorry to keep saying goal, but that is where we're generating the information for. I encourage you to look at this more and read it to where you can, because I know on this slide you can't read it, but very good information, not the buzzwords you just want to apply, but actually how you're actually going to use this as you're building your proposal for your students. And I think with that, it goes back to Aaron. Any questions on that part?
Thanks, Linda. And of course, if you have questions about UDL, please contact the Career Connect team. We can hook you up with resources. Appendix D is your budget proposal. It is a 10-point scored proposal template that talks about your development costs. You see development redlined throughout this slide, which means we're repeating it. You can charge staffing and benefits to develop the program. It's highly recommended that you list out the number of people and their positions, or the number of FTEs. Talk about training and workshops and their cost, conference attendance and their cost, curriculum design and development costs, implementation planning costs. You can expense travel, meetings, trainings, convenings, subcontracts with partners or consultants for part of your work. And of course, if your organization has a direct rate, you can charge up to 10% of the state rate. What you may not do with this money: purchase of equipment above $5,000 is not permitted with this grant, and there's specific requirements for equipment under $5,000. I would refer you back to the grant application for further information on that, or ask us specific questions if you think you need to buy some equipment. Food may not be purchased with this at all. Youth may not be paid wages, stipends, gift cards, transportation costs, or personal supplies from this grant. This is a development grant, not an implementation or service grant. Once the Once the grant has ended and your program has begun, you cannot charge program implementation or execution costs to this grant of any kind. We can pay faculty to develop curriculum. We cannot pay faculty to teach curriculum. That is execution. Are there any questions about this general slide? Appendix D has a spreadsheet attachment, which can be done in Excel and attached in the email. In the narrative description, you'll want to go ahead and list out specific costs. For example, staff salaries, one program coordinator, 0.75 FTE, and estimated total cost of salaries. Then their benefits should appear down here similarly. List out a staff travel budget. Do your best guess on how much it will cost your staff to travel to the events or to travel within your district to meet with employers. All those costs are expensible here. Office supplies, of course, this is meant to be expendable supplies in the service of building your proposal. Paper, pencils, toner cartridges, those are fine. Not entirely new computer systems on which you'll type the proposal and the program now. Indirect, I explained. If you have any questions about indirect, again, we're here to assist you with that. Subcontracts, as I explained, you can subcontract any amount of this work. You need to explain who the subcontract is with, why you have subcontracted, a brief statement of the scope of work and the total amount. And then any other costs that don't seem to fit into these categories. This is a general guide for funding, keeping in mind that these are not hard and fast figures. You are expected to request somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000, and the maximum acceptable is 250,000. Typically, Explore will be cheapest at 100,000. Career Prep may be a little bit more expensive, and Career Launch may go all the way to 250,000, depending on the number of slots. In other words, expected students or apprentices or Career Launch participants in your program. Remember, internship and apprenticeship wages and stipends cannot be budgeted to the Program Builder Grant because they are part of execution. Any questions on budgeting? Appendix E, letters of support. Tammy, is this one you?
Yes, sir. So bidders are required to have established partners with employers and educator partners. This is scored section, so you can have up to 5 letters of support from strategic partners. That should include clear acknowledgement of roles and responsibilities and must align with the proposal's description. So letters of support are to portray the key partners' support and acceptance of their responsibilities for success. The letters of support need to show in the letter that their understanding of their role and how they are helping out and relate to what you are trying to accomplish. So partnerships should be hand in hand. So for example, if you have in your RFP or in your proposal, you are stating that business partner XYZ is going to be helping write curriculum, that XYZ partner needs to address that their understanding and know that they are going to be helping write curriculum in their letters of support to you. So that's just an example. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about letters of support, please feel free to ask us. But I think that's pretty clear. Am I missing anything else, Aaron, on that?
Just a couple of things. If you have a key partner named in your proposal and you do not have a letter of support submitted with your proposal, it will negatively impact your score.
Yeah.
Also, if you have multiple key partners who are working on a similar type of goal, for example, you may have 3 school districts combined on one proposal, and they are all going to partner to write curriculum. All 3 school districts can sign one letter of support acknowledging that shared responsibility. And the last thing is, it is also okay to send letters that attest to your past performance or capacity to perform, including letters from us, the regional network. However, if we are not key partners with a clearly defined role or responsibility, they don't count as a letter of support.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Okay, this should say Appendix F, my bad. Appendix F is simply state required attestations and certifications. These are state requirements for contracting. And what they've done is they've asked them to fill them out in the proposal so that it doesn't prolong the contracting phase. If you are a minority or a women-owned business entity, you may score extra points for certifying that in the application. Failure to execute and submit this appendix is an automatic disqualification. However, if there is a certification or a disclosure in this section that your organization is unwilling or unable to attest to, you may add a written narrative that addresses an exception, and that will be considered by the reviewing team. At the end, when you have the entire proposal prepared, including all 6 appendices and the correct type of Appendix C, and each appendix must be in a separate file, Word, Excel, or PDF. You'll attach it to a single email, and this format and email address is included in the request for proposal document. They will not accept, review, or evaluate any proposals received after 5 p.m. on December 1st. So that is a hard deadline. Once again, here are the bidder resources. As a reminder, we have already shared out this Google document so that you can use all of these live links. Again, it is strongly suggested that you enroll in WEBs and download all the proposal documents yourself so as to ensure you have the latest version. You will also receive updates if anything changes in the proposal. At this time, I would like to open up the floor for questions from anybody who's attending.
Aaron, could I add a comment?
Yes.
One thing that I would encourage everyone is to double and triple check your applications before submitting. Even missing a signature, what I found out from the last round in helping an entity apply, just missing a signature on a form can be grounds for the proposal to not be considered.
That's a good point, Linda. And I'd also like to point out the regional network. We are available to review applications.
I think I'd like to add a comment as well. At some point during the conversation, as we were discussing some of the requirements and some of the pre-work that you can be doing, Aaron mentioned attending the quarterly meetings. And I think that's something maybe, I don't know if one of us maybe we should drop in when those quarterly meetings are into chat. So then everybody kind of has a mental note of that. That's a very easy to do. So I want to make sure, I wanted to call that back out. Attending our quarterly meetings can help you meet some of your requirements.
Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's a question in there about setting up individual meetings with the process being, what would we want to say to everyone would be the follow-up process if they have questions or need, they're asking for a breakout room now. What would you say would be the follow-up process, Aaron?
I would say the best thing is to email myself or Tammy to set up an appointment so that we can meet with them individually and answer their questions.
And actually, on the next slide, we have a survey. So if you are interested
There
in,
you
hey, so yeah, I will just say this now, just if you are considering on moving forward with the proposal of around 12, we did create a survey, and I am putting this in the chat for you now. So if you could please complete that brief program builder survey, that would be great, so that our team can better support you through this process. So yeah, thank you. And then yeah, I think between Aaron and I, we will contact you, and we can help you out.
Nicole has asked a question: if a sustainability partner, a group to help with future funding beyond building stage, be strategic? Absolutely. A clearly defined plan with a key partner to provide funding for sustainability after the grant would be a definite thing that would raise your proposal in consideration.
Could I add one more part to the quarterly meetings that Carrie had mentioned earlier? One of the biggest eye-opening ahas for me when I attended my first meeting was the fact that all of the program builders are on there. And so they give a short snippet of what they're working towards. And so that to me was my biggest learning curve of the entire last year, was hearing all of the great work. And so attending those quarterly meetings have multiple purposes for people potentially getting into this.
Yeah, and I think I'll go ahead and add then, some of you have attended and are aware that we host a little podcast, in a series of podcasts called the MVP Most Valuable Partner. Those live on the YouTube channel for the Apple STEM Network. I have interviewed quite a few of the program builders there as well. So I think I'm going to mention that, and then I'm going to pop out real quick and try to find that link, and I'll put that link into the chat so that anybody who wants to go back and watch an MVP from a previous program builder can learn a little bit more about it there as well.
We're just about at time, so I'm going to run through the rest of the slides very quickly, and then the team will stay here for a little bit so that we can answer any questions for anybody who wants to stay on and continue to ask them. Please subscribe to our Regional Network weekly newsletter. There are partner, educator, and student versions. And here's the link and the QR code. And once again, we can be dropping that in chat as well. A lot of links for you this morning. And then finally, our email addresses if you need to reach out directly to any of us for support or questions on your proposals or anything else Career Connect related. At this time, if you have no further questions and you're ready and raring to go and start plugging away on your proposal, that is our presentation. But if you have more questions or clarifications that you'd like, we will be staying on the line.
Thank you to everyone who jumped on today.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Lisa.
Okay. So, I would like to have, we're so far out, we're 65 miles away from a skills center at all, and I've lost a couple kids to the Skills Center. Well, I wanted them to go there. I want to have something similar to that here. I've been talking with community and stakeholders for about a year, but I haven't really convened them on this level because I just learned about this. Can I still create a letter of intent without, okay, I see you're waving. Okay, go ahead.
Letter of intent is non-binding. If you put in a letter of intent, but then do not submit a proposal, nothing bad happens.
Okay, and then the proposal though, they've got to have all these endorsements and all that kind of stuff. But I have just a month and a half to do that. That's what I'm understanding, right?
Unfortunately, it is, and the timeline to the next program builder grant is quite extended because there's been a lot of program builders who were successful bidders in the first half of the year. So Tammy and I are about to be at a statewide convening this week for Career Connect Washington, and we're also continually aware of other funding that's passed through Career Connect. So that may change.
Okay.
It's also something that the NCESD, the Apple STEM Network, and SkillSource, these three entities, can possibly partner with you on outside of Career Connect if this funding cycle doesn't work out for you, Lisa.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I'm only hanging around to hear the other questions.
Call Lisa.
That's how we do our best learning.
That's right.
There are quite a few left on here. Does anybody have questions for us?
This is Wendy. I'm with Lisa, just lurking to hear other questions. Just in case.
Well, I'm excited to see your proposal, Wendy. What you described to me sounds really exciting, and I hope it finds success.
Thank you. I just have to get the colleges on board.
Yes.
So they're moving forward with it, but yeah.
WVC has a pretty good track record with career launches too, so it's a good team over there.
Right. Yeah, I heard from Euritzy, so I know there's definitely interest. We just need to see where Big Bend is at, because it would be because they're developing the program together. So
We're down to about 10 people. Any final questions?
I'll make it 9 and hop out. Thank you.
Thanks so much for attending.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hopefully it helped.
Thank
It
you.
did. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Lisa.
All right, guys.
Okay.
I think we can
So
stop the recording.
Yep, stop